Hey YouTubers, it's me, Zipster. You know, I gotta tell you, just when you think you've done everything there is to be done in the whole world, guess what? Something new comes flying at you. Okay, I have got to be like the funeral king of, like, if not the world, at least the United States, or at least Pennsylvania, okay? Because I swear to God, I have been to a funeral like once a month since like February when my father passed away. I swear to God. So, okay, today's another one. On my birthday, hello, thank you very much, my Aunt Amy passed away, 88 years old. She'd been in a nursing home for years, you know. She was in bad, you know, she was in pretty bad shape. Anyway, so on my birthday, yeah, we find out that she passed away. So, okay, today's the funeral. No biggie, you know, because, well, like you know, my mom is one of 21 children. So, you know, you never know who you're going to run into at these things. And I love my cousins and all that stuff. So I knew it would be, you know, more than just a funeral. It would be like almost like a family reunion, which it was. But okay, so we get to the funeral parlor. Okay, great. We walk in, take a look at my Aunt Amy. You know, she looked dead. And then my mom goes over to her son, Vernon. And she comes back over to me and she says, Vernon wants to make sure that you stop over. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay, well, that's no problem. Of course, his mom just died, and, you know, Vernon and I have known each other since we were little kids. As a matter of fact, Aunt Amy used to babysit me while my mom worked. So I was at Aunt Amy's every day, so Vernon and I kind of grew up together. But whatever, okay, so I walk over to Vernon, and he says, Zipster, would you be a pallbearer? And my whole mind went, like, completely, entirely blank. I'm just like, I was stricken with such panic you couldn't believe it. And I'm like, well, but I don't know how, but I never did it before. How heavy is it? What do I have to do? Maybe I just came to look and then I was going to leave. I don't even know what I was saying. There was all kinds of things going through my mind. And then finally I'm like, oh yeah, sure. So I'm like, oh man, I like go back to my seat. Now this wrecked the whole funeral for me. I couldn't pay attention to what the pastor was saying. I didn't know what was going on. All I'm thinking is my heart is thumping and my mind is thinking, oh my God, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? So okay, one of my cousins is sitting behind me and one of them is sitting in front of me. So I said to this one, I said, hey, are you a pallbearer? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, have you ever done it before? He's like, oh my God, dozens of times. Haven't you done it with this big family? I would have thought we were all pallbearers. But they never asked me before because I think they were always afraid that Zipster would like screw up or something. Anyway, I'm like, oh my God, what do we have to do? And he said, well, cousin Blaine in front is a pallbearer too. So I'm like, oh, Blaine, are you a pallbearer? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, it's not going to start for like 10 minutes. Like, yeah, could we have like a meeting? And now they're like laughter, like a meeting. What are you talking about, a meeting? I'm like, well, I got to know like what's going to happen and stuff. So then the pastor starts talking, and I'm like freaking out. And my sister's like sitting there, and all of a sudden I can see her. She's like doing one of those Chuckles the Clown things. She's like starting to laugh to herself. And I'm like, I wonder what the hell she's laughing at, because nothing was really funny. So I poked her, I'm like, what are you laughing at? She said, I just heard what you did. I'm like, what did I do? And she's like, I heard you go, and she said, I just knew what was going on in your head. My God, I can't be a pallbearer, I can't be a pallbearer. And of course she was right. So then at the end, the undertaker man, what do they call him? I don't know, the funeral director, that's what they call him. He like stands up there and he's like, okay, if all the pallbearers could please meet in the front vestibule. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So I'm out there and it's me and 5 other cousins of mine, you know, and I only get to see them like once a year or something, but we all grew up, we're all around the same age, and we all grew up together, and we all like to play tricks on each other and have fun with each other, so, you know, we're like kind of clowning around out there and stuff, and all of a sudden they're saying, okay, now there's one thing you have to really watch out for. When you're carrying the casket up to put it over the hole, like there's beams on either side, and you have to make sure that you stay right in the middle of the beam, otherwise the beams will move and you might wind up falling in the hole or dropping the casket. And I'm like I'm freaking now, and they're all like getting a big joke out of this, but I'm like, you guys have to shut up, you're scaring the shit out of me. So okay, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go out for a quick cigarette, because, you know, it's like taking forever in there. Everybody's already outside and we're waiting. I don't know what's going on. So I go out for a cigarette, and all of a sudden one of my other cousins comes and he says, oh, Zip, you got to come in, you got to sign some paperwork. I'm like, paperwork? What are you talking about? He said, no, man, you got to sign this waiver that in case anything happens to your back or anything while you're doing it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they're all laughing. Here, all I had to do was sign in the guest book that I was one of the pallbearers. Okay, great. So, so we're standing out there waiting in the little vestibule area, and I'm like, what is taking so long? And they're like, well, the family is saying goodbye. And I'm like, well, how long could it take? She's dead. You know, and so we stood there like forever, and they're telling me all these horror stories about things that have happened, and I'm freaking. I'm like, okay, Cousin Chris is outside, let's go ask him if he could be my replacement, because I can't even do this. And one of my cousins is like, man, I can't believe you get up on stage in front of like 1,000 people, and that doesn't scare you, but it scares you carrying a casket. I'm like, yeah, but if I fall on stage, I just fall on stage. If I fall carrying a casket, you know, Aunt Amy winds up on the sidewalk on her head or something. I was just freaking. So anyway, finally it's casket time. They open up the little thing and they say, okay guys, come in here. And all of a sudden, like, they all said I could follow them, like be at the end of the road or something. They all grabbed the whole of the damn casket and the only position was right in the front. So I'm like leading the whole troop. Like, I really know what I'm doing, right? So, okay, we get out to the truck, no problem. Oh, with the truck, you know, the hearse. We put it in and thank God that's over with. We get to the cemetery, and these little boards are only like this wide. It's like walking on a tightrope or something. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't even do this. And they're like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be a cinch. Anyway, the casket is a lot lighter than you think it is. And so we got it out, and they make me go first again. So there I am leading the way. And we finally plop her down on the you know, the whatever the hell, the girding or whatever the hell you call that thing. And it's all like, and then like all my cousins, now it's spread around through the whole village, you know, that this is my first time pallbearing and I'm like a nervous wreck. So they're all coming up to me and making a big ass out of me. Oh, good job, Zip, good job. Would you be a pallbearer at my funeral? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's so funny. But then I'm thinking to myself, somebody said, you know that there are people that have like no relatives and stuff, and you can actually like become a professional pallbearer. So I went over and I talked to the funeral director guy, and I said if I put my name on a list, and if they ever have a funeral where there's no pallbearers, they could call me because I have a black suit and black shoes, and I'll just have them laying out all the time because I did a really good job, and those caskets aren't as heavy as you think anyway. And so there. So that was my adventure for today. Zipster, pallbearer. Hello. Okay. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm back. I forgot to tell you a very important part. Okay, so the funeral's all over. We're all standing around in the cemetery. You know, all the work's been done, and everybody's kind of dispersing. And my cousin Hammy comes over to me. He says, "Hey, now you know you got to stick around." I'm like, "What do I got to stick around for?" He said, "Oh, well, it's our job to also lower the casket and put the vault on it, and then we got to dig all that dirt back in the hole." I'm like, "You are kidding me!" And they're all standing back of me, and the whole family's laughing at me like it's some big silly joke. That's what kind of family I come from. So, okay, thank you.